Welcome to the show, everyone. As you all know, I absolutely love my show. And the reason why is because of all the different things that people hear, all the information that you get from listening to this show. We're live on Facebook, so I do want to say hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We'll share the show later on. Now listen up, this is really important. I have with me Dwane Harris, and he is an estate planning educator, and he's with Reliant Law Group. Welcome to the show. First question first, before you go on and tell anybody everything else about you.
No, thank you.
I want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do. And that I asked you before you came on, you're not an attorney. So I want you to explain that, and because you are with Reliant Law Group. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do seminars at places like country clubs and restaurants and libraries. So I educate in estate planning documents and talk about the importance of having proper legal documents.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. So the first thing I want to talk about is what's the benefit by having them in the first place?
Having those in place,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we avoid a lot of headaches for the family. So the whole idea, when you have proper documents in place, you're avoiding creating a lot of headaches for a spouse or for children in the case of certain events that might take place throughout your life.
So I want to talk about this too. You say that you would do a complete estate plan. What comes with that, with Reliant Law Group? I want to talk about that's with Reliant Law Group.
That's right.
Not everybody else does all this stuff.
So a complete estate plan is going to entail documents that would be for two reasons. One is passing your estate on to beneficiaries, making that clear, making sure it avoids the process of probate. And the second benefit is while living, you want to name your agent for powers of attorney. In the case of illness or incapacity, you want to say who can do things for you, like paying bills, talking with doctors, and helping making healthcare decisions. That's while still alive. So they're both while living and after passing, both are included in a complete estate plan.
I think this is really important for people to understand that everybody, when they talk about estate planning, they think they're going to die. But not always do we die, right? Sometimes you're just incapacitated, correct?
Exactly. You could be in the hospital, maybe you had a car accident or other, and you're in the hospital. Well, who can talk with doctors to help make medical care decisions? Well, that's going to be your agent that you name on your health care power of attorney. Important documents to have in place. And the same thing for the finances, who's going to be able to work with banks or a brokerage firm and pay bills and do financial matters. You have to name that person as your agent, and that's so important. So a complete estate plan is going to have a variety of documents. The first one I'd recommend would be a living trust document. That's going to be a legal entity that you create to pass on your estate and avoid that process of probate. And the way that works is by naming your living trust as the ownership on your real estate. Now the entity doesn't pass. There's no death, there's no probate.
Very important.
And now your successor trustee, who you name, it's like your executor, who's going to carry out the distribution of your estate, they can follow your directions and not be tied up in that year to year and a half delay of probate or have the expense of all the court costs and attorney fees because the trust owned it. There's no death of an owner because your entity owns that, but you're in control of the trust. You're called the trustor and the trustee. So have that document first. Then the supporting documents that go in there, the ones that would be so important to have while living are those powers of attorney for the financial, the health care, and also too is the mental health. That's for the cases of stroke, Alzheimer, dementia. Those are important to have, and the hospitals are now enforcing those documents. And of course, lastly would be what's called the living will, also called the healthcare directive. It's what you want your wishes would be. In the case of life support, at what point would you want to be taken off life support? It's so important to make that clear so your family knows your wishes.
Now, what you can do is you can call what they do, and I love what you do. First of all, you do a complimentary current review of people's estate plans. So a lot of people have them. Another thing is you got to dust them off. This is really important, right?
Oh, it's so amazing. People come in sometimes and they don't even recall what they did. I did this, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Things may have changed. Well, what is your current intentions? How do you want your estate to pass on to your beneficiaries? Let's talk about that. Then let's take a look at your plan to make sure it matches what you say. Oftentimes they don't.
Oh, I'm
they go,
sure they don't.
I thought I did this. Oh, I thought I did that.
Right.
Well, that's not what your documents say.
Or I don't want this anymore.
That's right. Oh, no, it says that. I meant to change that.
Yeah.
I had a thought years ago to change those documents.
Right.
We just never got to it.
One other thing that I want to ask you, let's say somebody does have one done, and I know you do these reviews for them. It's complimentary, by the way. How often should somebody really be looking at them? Having someone
Yeah.
like you, I should say, look at them.
It'd be smart every 5 years, for sure.
For
It kind
sure.
of reminds you of what you did. It kind of gets it fresh in your mind about how you have things set up, and to make sure that it will go and align with what your current wishes are. So, good idea.
Their phone number is 602-325-8447. The website is reliant-gh.com. They're located right here in Phoenix, and they do a complimentary current review of your estate plan. And you've been doing this for 20 years. You do a lot of seminars throughout the valley and things like that. Do you also, if let's say somebody is just coming in and doesn't have one, do you also do a complimentary talk to them a little bit about what they need to do?
I'll certainly go through what documents are important to have in place. Then they can choose, which ones they want. So it's always a person's choice to pick what they like, but we'll cover what the documents would be and the importance to have them, and you can decide, what you want to have.
Now, you said that Reliant Law Groups does some special things that other people don't do. What are the extra benefits that they offer?
Yeah, well, first of all, is having your documents made by a licensed law firm so important. A lot of people, unfortunately, they'll see an ad in the paper, or they maybe saw something here or there, and they'll get documents made up by what's called a legal document preparer, just a person who has passed a test and got a certified to help people sign some documents. Well, they simply print things off the internet possibly, and don't have current legal documents with all the current laws and all the current statutes and regulations. So you get older documents, unfortunately. It happens so often. So first of all, you get a proper current legal document from a licensed law firm. That's the first big thing. So you will have their current documents. Number two is you get additional benefits. One is a flash drive, which scans in, has all your documents separately issued. So now we can email documents. It could be a living will to a hospital or a power of attorney. It's a lot easier than having to try to make photocopies and lose your documents.
Where are they?
Yeah, that happens so often. People
A lot of
leave them on the
people.
machines at some copy store and lose their documents.
Oh my goodness.
Just walk off and forget their originals, right?
Wow.
So the flash drive is a great tool. We keep a backup, a digital vault at the office in case of fire or theft or loss. We can remake those documents from the scanned backups. Annual contact with updates. Every 12 to 18 months, we contact our clients to make sure they have all the current
That's good.
regulations and make sure they've not done things that would create probate, like buying real estate in their own personal name or refinancing, and the real estate ends up back in their name. So we check on our clients. It's what being part of the Reliant family is what we call that. Distribution guidance is working with that successor trustee who you appoint to help them know step by step. And then we call it a fully funded trust, which means we make sure your real estate and your financial accounts
That's so
are in
important.
your trust name, so it's all protected. It's like putting your valuables into a safe.
Right.
You have to put them all under the umbrella of that trust.
Well, they're located right here in Phoenix, and they do a complimentary current review of your estate plan. They also will do a complimentary consultation with you. If you don't have one, you should. Everybody listening to this should definitely have something in place. I think you don't realize, and I've said this in my mind when you think about this, you cannot contact Amazon without them checking on who you are. If you think that you can go into and all this other stuff, if you get incapacitated in any way, God forbid, or something happens to you, you just have to have these in place. Again, their phone number is 602-325-8447. It's reliant-gh.com. Hang tight, we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, do you like what I'm doing here?
Really, really good.
Okay, good.
Really good.
So we're going to keep on going here. I'm just kind of having fun with you a little bit because
Yeah.
I'm trying to relax you, okay? And I think we have, I'm going to start going into some of these other things now that I'm just kind of going through them really quickly.
Yeah.
For you, when you talk to people, I'll take care of it, I'm sorry, it's okay, thanks. Okay. So, okay, so what I want to ask you when you talk to people, First of all, a lot of people probably don't have anything in place, correct?
Right.
Right, when they come to you. Let's say you're doing a review, all right? Do you ever find something that they should have that they don't have?
Oh, well, yeah.
A lot?
Yeah, because they don't know what they should have, and so they, there's
Like,
what
let's
you
say, I'm
should.
saying, like, let's say you've done this review with them, they already had it done maybe 10 years or 5 years ago or whatever,
Mhm.
and they didn't have something that they should have had. Do you have anything like that? Has that ever
Yeah,
happened?
well, things are a la carte, so the pricing, we have all the documents separately priced, and also to a package deal.
Okay.
They come together, so they can buy, you can get just what you don't have.
Oh, okay.
Or you can do the whole package.
Okay, that's good to know
So you have
too.
both ways of pricing.
Okay.
Mhm.
Just making sure the camera's okay. Yeah. I got 3 cameras going in here.
Okay. Maybe something good to clarify as well, that it could be a package of a complete estate plan, or it
Okay.
could be just certain
We're trying to get
documents
to
that you
that.
don't have or that are missing.
Okay. Okay.
It's kind of the a la carte idea.
Okay. Gotcha. Mhm. So welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Dwane Harris, and he's an estate planning educator with Reliant Law Group. At the break, we were kind of talking about things, and you said that you either can do a package or you can do things a la carte for them. Let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah, if you're only missing certain documents, let's say you may have a trust document that was set up, but now you're thinking, well, I want to change my agents on my power of attorney. Like who could talk with doctors and help make healthcare decisions, or who can pay my bills and financial matters in case I'm unconscious. And you want to change just the agents, we can do a simple power of attorney package, where it's not going to be a complete estate plan, because you already have maybe your living trust documents, but you can do just those powers of attorney. So all the pricing is going to be a la carte, maybe each document separately, or there can be packages like your power of attorney package or your complete estate plan. So there's different ways to get documents, depends what your needs are.
Now, you can call them direct. Their phone number is 602-325-8447. They're located right here in Phoenix. They do complimentary consultations with people, but they also do a complimentary current review of the plan that you might already have. And if you haven't looked at them within the last couple of years to 5 years, you really ought to. And some people haven't looked at them way longer than that. You got to dust them off. You got to take them out. You got to look at them. It's really important to update them. Their website is reliant-gh.com. I want to talk about some of these things, like, for instance, this. Does a last will and testament avoid the cost and delay of a probate?
In fact, the definition of probate is the proving of a will. If you look in your old Webster's dictionary, which most of us probably don't use anymore, but maybe just hit the Google, right? So just Google the word probate, and it comes out to be a 6-word definition. The official proving of a will. It's where the probate court judge is going to prove the will. So just by itself, there's no bank or stockbroker firm or property title company. They won't give away money or real estate just based upon your will. It doesn't happen. They do have beneficiary forms, however, that will help you to avoid probate, but unfortunately a lot of people don't have those forms filled out. We're talking real estate, bank accounts and financial accounts. A lot of folks just miss those, don't get them done, don't do them properly, or possibly some other beneficiaries may have predeceased. we don't plan for those sort of things.
Sure.
But if they did, or maybe they're minor children, or maybe you might pass before you had planned to, and some of the beneficiaries might be still minor children, of course, that's going to be in probate then.
So why would, let's say, somebody's real estate or financial accounts go to probate when they can be completed, by that form? Why does that happen?
Yeah, that's the problem with those forms. The downside is
They gotta be done right.
They don't have contingencies and backups. What if a beneficiary had predeceased or passed with you? Who will it go to? And if it does go to their children, to your grandchildren, well, what are their ages? Because you may have thought, well, by the time they get this, I'm going to be 10 or 15 years older, and they'll be like 18 or 25 or whatever. Well, you might pass before you had planned to, and now they're only going to be 10 or 15 years old. They can't have full control of real estate and financial accounts. So there's going to be a probate situation to say who's going to be able to control that forum until then. And again, this is where these forms have that downfall. It's not a perfect world. Things happen.
Right, and we like to get these forms, and everybody hears something and they think, okay, I can go up onto Google and I'll just get it, right? But you got to make sure they're done right, and that's where I think the attorney comes in.
Yeah.
Because sometimes listen. If you own property, right then and there, that just shows you better get things done correctly, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
How do you want them to take their inheritance? Do you want it to all be at one lump sum, or over a number of years? There could be a lot of cases where you can imagine a child or grandchild might benefit by having their inheritance over a number of years. And that's where your living trust document gives you the control to have that distribution paid out over time. Or certain ages for distribution, 18, 21, 25, or accomplishing certain goals before they have their full inheritance.
Right.
So your trust, you can have all those things can be clarified, and really your wishes can be carried out, or a simple beneficiary form can't do those things.
So their phone number to call is 602-325-8447. The website is reliant-gh.com, and they're located right here in Phoenix. They do complimentary consultations for everyone, but they also do complimentary current reviews of your estate plan. And boy, oh boy, if you haven't had one looked at in a while, it's a good idea to do it. You can also, if you're missing something, you can do things a la carte with them, or if you need a whole one done, they have a package deal as well. I do want to talk about the limitations of a beneficiary form or the beneficiary deed. What's the difference anyway between the two?
Yeah, limitations are it's going to be a complete distribution of the estate at the moment of passing. There's no way to control their inheritance over time, or for the age of distribution happens so often that we may pass before we plan to. My goodness, I belong to a Facebook group for my high school, and it's just surprising for me to see the number of people from my class that have passed at my age of being 60 years old,
Right.
and to see 6 or 8 or 10 friends that have passed the last year or two.
It's sad.
It surprises me, but I'm sure it also surprised their families too, be it their spouse or children or their parents.
Right.
And so their parents may have had things going to themselves, to that person, or their grandchildren, and then ages become an issue for what age would they be inheriting.
I want to also mention this, which is so true. I do have a client that says, God, he picks his flowers when he wants to, right? And here's the thing about people here, especially in America, more than anywhere in the world, is we don't like to talk about this stuff, right?
True.
And it's so important. For some reason, I think they think when they do this, that's the it. That's the end, right? And it doesn't mean that. What it means is that you're taking care of business. You're making things easier for when you're gone, right? But when everybody else is left over and I don't mean to say it like that, but it's true that you're just making it so much harder. And when it is, and let me tell you something, and I'm going to say this just for everybody to hear this, but my ex-husband's mother, who is very aware, she's very alert. They thought they had everything fine, but something happened and she was in the hospital. She's certainly aware, but guess what? go do this, go do that. Guess what? They couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. Why? Because a lot of stuff was not done correctly. So yes, she was aware, and they'd have to go scramble and go ahead and not scrambling. Who wants to scramble anyway? But right, they had to do that in order, and you don't have to have that. You can have it all taken care of, right, by calling them and having them do. I think if you already have one done, definitely having a review is the right thing to do. Right, and then of course, if you don't have one, everyone should have a consultation with them, at least as start off and get yourself on the road to, I guess, peace of mind.
That's the bottom line. Really, it's a gift you give your family to help reduce the burden upon them, to make your wishes clear, either while living, with an illness or incapacity, or after your passing, how things will go on to beneficiaries. Making that clear reduces a lot of chaos and confusion and headaches and really stress for your family. So it's a really great gift to give your spouse and your kids and grandkids. They sure appreciate it.
Absolutely. Again, that phone number to call is 602-325-8447. He's been doing this for 20 years, and he educates the Valley basically on all of this, and it's so important. I don't know why people put their heads in the sand on this. They just do, but don't. Give them a call and have that consultation with them. Really quickly before we go, what is the most efficient way to pass on my estate to my beneficiaries and avoid the cost and delay of probate?
You have to make sure we're going to avoid that probate process, to make sure your wishes are carried out. That's going to be a document you create. It's an entity called a living trust. So when you create that document, you're creating a legal entity. Now that document then would be owning your real estate. So you transfer your home, for example, into your trust name, like your name, living trust. Now your trust owns it. And now there's no death of a person, there's no probate.
Right.
So now your trustees can pass it to beneficiaries, making sure you avoid that probate process, and then of course clarifying how you want to have distribution goes. We're talking about all at once, over a number of years, any goals or accomplishments to achieve first, or ages for distribution. Really, your wishes are more clear.
Also, just tell them really quickly, I don't know if you'll have enough time, but some of the benefits by getting a complete estate plan with Reliant.
Yeah, the first one is to avoid probate. We want to make sure we avoid that delay of time and cost of probate. Show those beneficiaries and what your intentions are. Avoid living probate, called conservatorship. If you don't name your agents on powers of attorney, your family has to petition the court to become the agent. It's a very long, expensive process. Show those healthcare directives, at what point to be taken off life support, make that clear to help relieve their guilt. And then your final wishes, like burials and funeral services, those sorts of things, are sure going to be helpful, and your family will sure appreciate it.
I'll tell you something, you will too, and please don't put your heads in the sand, because you know what? So many people do, and it's something that is probably the most important thing that everybody should do. Once you turn 18, for sure, if you have children, for sure, give them a call. Their phone number is 602-325-8447. They're located right here in Phoenix. They do complimentary consultations and a current review with your estate, the plan that you might already have. It's 602-325-8447.